here are some terms that I'll go over, and then, did you get the sheet? Yeah. All right, so international trade. Just realize that when you're doing, say, comparative advantage determines who will export and who will import. The person with the lowest opportunity cost has the comparative advantage, and they will export. So that what happens in international trade, it allows countries to specialize and therefore allocate their resources more efficiently. On your sheet, the next thing I have is impact of appreciation on exports. So realize if the United States dollar appreciates, it makes our goods seem more expensive to the rest of the world, therefore it will hurt our exports. And that's a common question they ask on the AP exam. Like they get you to, they give you a scenario, and then they get you to say a country appreciates and depreciates, and then how will it help their exports or imports. All right, trade balance, which is the same thing as net exports. It's exports minus imports, okay? So if you have more exports than imports, you have a surplus. And then if you have a negative number, more imports, you then have a deficit. All right, one thing is with the current account, and remember the current account, I have it equal capital account, but you could call the capital account financial account. They equal each other, okay? So like the current account will equal the capital account. So if you're having a surplus in the current account, you therefore have a deficit in the capital account, okay? Now, what is in the current account? You have one, exports minus imports. The second thing is net investment. What do I mean by net investment? That's how much, say, Americans make on their investments in foreign countries, minus what foreigners make in America on their investments. And the third is net transfers. And net transfers are foreign aid or Ruli making money and sending it to Spain so his mom could have some dollars.
Wait, so it's domestic aid minus foreign aid, or?
No, it's aid we give to countries minus aid countries give to us.
Okay, so.
Which countries don't really give us aid, that's why we run a big, that's a positive number for us.
Okay.
Okay? All right, now, I wrote in domestic investment versus foreign investment. When we're thinking about domestic investment, we're thinking about capital goods. We want low interest rates, okay? Because people want to borrow, businesses want to borrow at low interest rates. When we're thinking foreign investment, then we're thinking high interest rates. Because think that there you're looking to see who wants to buy bonds, okay? And you want to buy bonds at the highest interest rate. So again, domestic investment is you're looking to borrow. So you're looking to borrow at the lowest interest rate. Foreign investment, you're looking to make money on your money. So let's just say you're looking to purchase bonds at the highest interest rate. All right. Inflow versus outflow. Inflow is money coming into the country. Outflow is money leaving the country. So when you sell an export, you have inflow. When you buy an import, you have outflow. Right? You guys can't see, just tell me. I got 2 minutes. Alright, and here are the 4, I didn't give you a spot, but I was just reminding you the 4 components of GDP. 1, consumer spending. 2, second is investment. And again, here in investment, we're not talking about stocks and bonds. We're talking about capital goods, things that produce things. So factories, equipment, computers. The third, government spending. And then the fourth, net exports, exports minus imports. That just makes up your GDP. Okay? All right, I'm going to give you a minute to do. I want you to tell me, is it an input or an output? I put these on your paper, right? Or no? Mm-hmm. All right, input or output, and who has the comparative advantage? Just to review this, because there'll be a couple on the test on this. No, we're just doing these right now.
Presley, I don't remember how to do these.
Just wait, because we'll go. I'm going over it.
Okay.
Okay. I'll give you another minute.
Is the competitive advantage comparative advantage?
Yeah, I wrote it wrong. For sure, what we compare. Okay? Alright, let's just go over these. The first thing, whenever you see like number caught per day, we're trying to get the most, then it is an output. Okay? And ooh! It's early in the morning, Maddie, so we gotta be quiet. Ooh stands for output other over. So before I want to see who has the comparative advantage for deer, the other is antelope, 6/4. If I want to then see for John, his other is 12/24. 12/24 is the smaller number. John has the smaller opportunity cost, so therefore he has the comparative advantage for deer. Okay? If I know John has the comparative advantage for deer, then Henry must have it for antelope. So John's going to export deer, say, Henry would trade antelope, and that's how they specialize and again allocate their resources most efficiently. Now, if they're telling you like how many months to produce one, that's an input. Okay, how many months it's going to take. Input is IOU. Input other under. Okay? So here I'm looking for cars. Cars are 8. So I take the other planes. 8 under 10 is smaller than 15 over 12. Because I took the 12 and I put it under 15. So there, Canada has the competitive advantage in cars, the comparative advantage, and Japan has it in planes. Now, comparative advantage is the only thing that factors in who trades. So sometimes I'll ask you, who has the best absolute advantage, or absolute advantage doesn't have anything to do with who exports and imports goods. Alright, and then the third is acres to produce 100 bushels. Anytime the output is solid, like 100 bushels, or to produce 1 car, again, it's an input. So for Henry, I'm looking at corn. Input is other under. I take the other, which is rice, 9 over 3. Here is John, the corn. I take the other, 8 over 2. Henry has the lower opportunity cost, so therefore Henry has a comparative advantage there. Christine, do you have a question?
I don't think so.
You're good?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
I think so.
Okay.
What was the first one? Can you say that again real quick?
Up here?
Yeah.
Alright, so it's an output because we're going to see who can make the most. So it's other over. So I take the other 6 over 4. And I take the other 12 over 24. Since 12 over 24 is smaller, John has it in deer.
Okay. Can you explain why the third one is an input?
Say that again?
Can you explain why the third one is an input again?
Oh, because you're not seeing like who could make the most bushels. You're seeing what it takes to get 100 bushels. Okay? So it's not an output, which would be how many bushels you could make. It's an input, how many acres it takes to make that. Okay? So usually you see hours. When you see time or like acres, that's usually the input.
Okay.
Okay? Alright. And then on the output one, whoever has the highest number, like 24 to 4, that's the absolute, 12 to 6. So John would have the absolute advantage in both of them. So you could have the absolute in both, and the comparative you could only have in one. Okay? Alright, closed versus open economy. A closed economy focuses only on the domestic price. So a closed economy does not have international trade. And the open economy, sorry. And the open economy trades for a lower world price. Okay? So the open economy, and we'll go over this when I show you the graphs of exports and imports again, has additional surplus. So in the open economy, even if consumers are getting hurt by a higher price, producer surplus is so much greater, it takes, it compensates. And the same, even if producers are hurt by a lower price, consumer surplus is so much greater, it compensates. Oh, jeez, we're going crazy. Okay? Did I give you a spot for the Laffer curve?
Yeah.
Alright, so here is your Laffer curve. Just remember it shows the relationship between tax rate and tax revenue. Okay? That at a certain point, if you increase the tax rate, your tax revenue goes down. Why? People, and again the theory is people will lack incentive. They do not want to go out to make more money or work harder because you're taking too much of their taxes.
So
Okay?
M the where it wants to be?
M is the highest tax rate you could have, Christine, with the maximum tax revenue. If I increase the tax rate above M, my tax revenue starts going down. Okay? All right. The next then we go with maybe we'll go with all right, appreciation versus depreciation. So depreciation is when if you're looking at the dollar, when the dollar depreciates, and all we're going to do is really use two countries. When the dollar depreciates relative to the pound, again, sometimes it'll be referred to a weak dollar, and all it's saying is more units of the dollar are needed to buy a single unit of the pound. So if it used to cost $2 to buy a pound, and now it costs $5 to buy a pound, the dollar depreciates. Now, if the dollar depreciates, while that sounds like a bad thing, it's good for our exports because it makes United States goods look cheap to Great Britain. Now, appreciation is just the opposite. Here is now you need less dollars to buy a pound. Okay? So they call it a strong dollar. And there's less units of dollars needed to buy a single unit of the currency. And again, while it might sound that appreciation is a great thing, the dollar's getting stronger,